Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream. We'll be looking ahead to Blank Gameweek 29 with only 4 fixtures, and we'll be reviewing double Gameweek 28 so far, which for many of us has been a disaster. I took a -8 hit, and the only reason why I'm close to my original rank from last week is because of Heung-min Son. Without that, the rest is absolutely catastrophic. Solanke slipping during his penalty. Those that went for Kirkes, he might not even start the second game. He was subbed up for half-time and got a yellow card for 0 points. Zabani conceding twice to Sheffield United. Doughty making the mistake which enabled Crystal Palace to take the lead. And ultimately, so many goals flying in for these double gaming teams, and none of our players were involved. And then you look at my bench, Pedro Porro, 7 points. Might not seem that significant, but building upon last week with Areola and Gordon, and I said this all along with Areola, just watch, when we all start him against Burnley, he's going to do absolutely nothing. And that's what ended up happening. That's FPL heritage for you. I also sold Estupinian for a hit, and he got a clean sheet. 6 points. He was on course for bonus points at one stage, so thankfully he didn't get those. But ultimately, in the end, my defenders have been a travesty in the last couple of weeks. But that's 24 points overall up until this point. I've still got Palmer left to play, Solanke and Zabani for their second game of double Gameweek 28. The same goes for Doughty, and that's pretty much it. So it's not looking that great, really, is it? It isn't, but it is what it is. At least I've got my wildcard still intact, and the free hit is almost certainly going to be deployed in Blank Gameweek 29, and I do regret some of the transfers I've made because I could have potentially navigated Blank Gameweek 29 without this chip, and I also shouldn't have gone for so many double Gameweek players in the end for a -8, so that was my mistake. I have no regrets though about Solanke. I think that was the right call, just a bad outcome up until this point, but I do think he'll return against Luton Town if he starts the game, and he can get a decent number of minutes there as well. So I have gone down in rank by around 30,000 places to 388k, and ultimately my recent transfers, the hits I've taken, have cost me many points, and also in the last 2 gameweeks in particular, including this one, bench points are becoming a bit of a problem. I'm hoping Anthony Gordon and Dubravka stay quiet tomorrow, but we just never know. With the way double Gameweek 28 is going, I don't have much hope. Let's get straight into your questions as always, and yeah, a bit of an early stream straight after the massive match between Liverpool and Manchester City. I think the big winners from this one would be Arsenal, but I still think they remain the third favourites for the Premier League. And the first question, or the first comment, is by Hope, who says, "Glory Man United." What glory? Obviously, maybe in the past, a lot of glory, but yeah, just a bit of a cheeky comment there. Barry says, "Horror week for me." It's the case for a lot of us, I think. There's still a way to go, and maybe these double gimmick players can salvage something. If you've got Palmer, even Gordon, I would hold a little bit of hope. But yeah, I think those that didn't have Son are probably suffering the most. Haaland sellers, Foden benchers, we won. Depends on the victory. I mean, what do you classify as a victory? Because some people might have wildcarded and gone triple Luton Town and triple Bournemouth. I'm not sure that's a win just yet. It doesn't look like it at the moment, but it's all circumstantial. I think those that, you know, sold Haaland and Foden or benched one of them, I think you're pretty much laughing at what happened. Wasif says, "I sold Haaland for Solanke, not sure if it was a good decision." I think it was, based on this game week only, because Liverpool away is such a tough game for Man City. They've won, what, 1 game out of the last 20 visits to Anfield, and Solanke's got a double against 2 of the worst defences in the league. Look, he had a goal disallowed, and he also slipped during a penalty. On another day, you're looking at a massive haul. Very unlucky, and there's still 1 game to go against Luton Town. I'm quite confident Solanke will deliver there. But as for Zabani, Doughty, and all these other options, not so much. Only 23 points until now. Yeah, pretty awful week for a lot of us, but still some games to go, of course. It's an early reaction stream, so to speak, but of course, there's going to be plenty more content headed your way for FPL. A transfer tips potentially uploaded tomorrow. The best wildcard team, best free hit team, and team selection. Although for the wildcard, it is an awkward time to use the chip. I probably won't make a wildcard video this week, but the free hit almost certainly will be uploaded. Hope says, "Is selling Foden to Son in Gameweek 27 now justifiable?" Well, ultimately, I said it all along, even back then. It's a good decision. It's just the timing of it. I would have held Foden against Man United. I even said it in my transfer tips heading into that deadline. I said Foden against Man United, great record against them, especially at the Etihad. I wouldn't sell him. But if you have to ask me, who would you rather have, Son or Foden over the next 4? I'm always going to pick Heung-min Son. And what he did today, of course, there were some maybe benefiting factors. For example, Aston Villa going down to 10 men, McGinn making a senseless challenge, rightfully sent off. And from that, Spurs were able to pick them off even more. But Spurs thoroughly deserved the victory today. Singh says, oh, Liverpool, this was the game to win. Diaz misses, Nunez offsides. City to win the league, I guess. Yeah, they're by far the most likely. I think with a draw or City win, they're the favourites to win it. I'd still put Liverpool second favourites and Arsenal third, but I think this draw does level it a little bit more between all three teams. And who knows, I just think that Arsenal versus Man City game is massive. If Arsenal can get a draw or a win, and I think they can do it, will they? Different story, maybe unlikely on paper, but if they can do that, I think it keeps the title race very open. Wasif says, I have 2 transfers. I'm going KDB to Son and Foden to Salah next week. Yeah, look, I have to say, good transfers. And with KDB, at least you got something this week. Subbed off a bit early. He was pissed off, to say the least, with Pep Guardiola. But yeah, Foden to Salah does look great for Game Week 30. And my issue now with my own team setup is I've still got Erling Haaland. And to get Salah back in Game Week 30 might not be possible. 15 points, yeah, don't worry, Frank. A lot of us are going to have 25 points and below. There might be some people here and there, like It's a Boom with 37, which is very good this week so far, but there's still a way to go. Yeah, Wasif, I sold the Stupinian for a hit, and I bench Borderos, so I can understand your pain there. Hope says, if you're a Man United fan, who would you want to win the league? That's the problem, you know. Man City, their local rivals, and the most successful English club in the last couple of years. You've got Liverpool. You know, if they win the league title, that's 20 leagues, which equals Man United's record. If Man City win, they break Man United's record, and they would go 4 Premier League titles in a row. Arsenal, of course, fierce rivalry with Man United, but it would be their 14th league title, and Arsenal haven't won a league in 20 years. I think most United fans would probably pick Arsenal as the so-called lesser evil, but a lot of United fans I know personally hate Arsenal. They absolutely hate them, so really it's slim pickings, and they probably just want the season to be over. Elliot says, no Son. I was convinced that he wasn't going to get much against Aston Villa at Villa Park. Look, I can understand that. You know, Aston Villa have been one of the best teams in home matches this season. They're 4th in the Premier League. But one thing I always mentioned, and I'm not even saying it just now, and I didn't expect him to get 17 points, of course, by the way. Otherwise, I would have captained him. But I kept mentioning his record against Aston Villa. Before today's game, it was 6 goals, 1 assist in 8 games in the Premier League. And now it's 7 goals and 3 assists in 9 matches. So Son against Aston Villa, that high line from Unai Emery is a match made in heaven. But I don't think any of us expected him to get that massive haul. On 45, that's a great score this week. Barry says, hi Dylan, that was a horror week for me. Triple captain Solanke and bought in Kirkes for Stupinian. Had the City triple up. Who are the best midfielders to play starting from Game Week 30? Yeah, I do feel for you, Barry. Good decisions. Like I said, if I had the triple captaincy, I probably would have used it on Solanke. As for Kirkes, hopefully he does play the second game, but his replacement, Ouattara, got the goal and assist as Bournemouth made a late comeback. So I'm a bit worried about Kirkes from that perspective, and also selling a Stupinian. I mean, I thought he'd start, by the way, this weekend, but I thought Nottingham Forest would score. I got that wrong. As for the best midfielders to buy from 30 onwards, ideally, it would be Son, Foden, Saka, Palmer. I think those 4 would be the ideal midfielders to go for. And if I had to pick a 5th, I actually like Anthony Gordon until Game Week 35. So you've got 2 budget options in Palmer and Gordon, and you've got 3 premiums and also very consistent options. But that's the problem, actually. You've got Foden, Salah, Son, Saka. I mean, yeah, you have to make a sacrifice somewhere in there. And maybe if I had to pick one, it'd be Gordon dropping out. But then what do you do elsewhere to accommodate that midfield 5? Probably downgrade Watkins from 31 onwards. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to play it. I also think Heung-min Son, as good as he is, around Game Week 34, he is disposable because Spurs have one of the worst fixture runs I've seen in April. Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, Man City at home. And yeah, Heung-min Son can deliver in most of those games, but it's still an awful set of fixtures. Yeah, Game Week 30 and beyond, I'd probably say Son, Saka, Salah, Foden, and Palmer. Haaland owners must be sobbing right now. Yeah, he didn't really do anything, to be fair. He had that one good dribble and kind of 1v1 with Van Dijk. Got a shot away, but apart from that, very ineffective. I'm on 34. That's a great score this week. Any West Ham fans that can detail Bones' performance? Yeah, that's actually a good question. But of course, he has been returning fairly well recently. And Kudus got yet another assist. That's 3 back-to-back 5-pointers for the Ghanaian. And in Game Week 29, I still think Bones a good option, by the way. His record against Aston Villa, I think, is 5 goals in 11 games. Not as good as Heung-min Son's, of course, but I think Bowen could actually benefit from Villa's high line, similar to what Son did today albeit not to the same level. I don't think Bowen will get a double-digit haul, but I think Bowen is a good option for the free hit and for a free transfer. X says took a -4 but played Foden instead of Maddison. Yeah, to be honest, I would have done the same thing. Foden is a far better FPL option for me, and over the course of the season, Foden will outscore him. And with Maddison, there's always that kind of doubt about him getting injured, but I will thoroughly recommend him for next week's video. He was already in my buy list before the game today because he has a great record against Fulham. He has never blanked at Craven Cottage, and that's his next game coming up. Beardy, welcome. Good to see you. Shavain says no one delivered apart from Son, currently on 35 points with Neto, Doughty, Semenyo, Solanke left. It's not too shabby. You're probably on course for a green arrow, depending on your rank. Yeah, I think a green is probably going to happen for you. You just have to hope that Palmer stays quiet. Rahman says, hey Dylan, if I make one free transfer for the next blank game week, is it possible to use free hit as well at the same time? No. Once you use the free hit, the transfer you made before will be cancelled, and your team will revert to how it was before you activated the free hit with no transfers enacted. What's your opinion on Doku foul Mac? When I first saw it, I thought, no, it's not a penalty, but upon replays, I think it did look like a penalty, to be honest. I think it was, but yeah, most people I've seen also share that same opinion that it was a penalty, but yeah, it's a difficult one. I don't think it was like the most blatant penalty ever, but I do think it was just about enough. Zenzone says 30 points, gone down to 90k overall. Got Palmer, Gusto, Doughty, Solanke, captain left. Hopefully can turn into a green arrow. Yeah, I think you can do so. I think a lot of us bench Borderell. I didn't want to start him against Aston Villa. I mentioned that he got a return in the reverse fixture, but Spurs actually lost to Aston Villa at home. But Borderell got the assist, of course, and this time, of course, he got the clean sheet and bonus point. But yeah, still decent stuff for you. 30 points isn't too shabby considering what sort of a game week it's been. You've got 2 Chelsea players left, and you've got, of course, 2 doublers with Solanke captain. I think a green arrow, albeit a marginal one, is possible for you. Just the Parky, this game week total S. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. Just no other way to put it. Yeah, I agree, to be fair. It is, but that's how FPL can be sometimes. Elliot says, Bodro and Gross save me. Slight green arrow, Palmer to go, but Gordon on the bench. I absolutely hate Gross, I'm not going to lie. There's a certain list of players I hate in FPL. Ariel is one of them. Pascal Gross another. I had him for 3 game weeks. Yeah, maybe I could have been more patient, but him playing deeper, he was also very ineffective in other competitions like the FA Cup. As soon as I sell him, he starts turning into the best FPL midfielder besides Saka. So yeah, I absolutely hate Gross. Watkins probably as well. My historical problems with him FPL-wise. Yeah, I absolutely hate Gross, but fair play to you. Should have been a pen in the end on McAllister. Yeah, I think so too. Ala Madrid says 29 points, took a -4 for Solanke in and Tony out. Yeah, if you aren't free hitting in 29 though, you probably want Tony back. He played fairly well against Arsenal, but I think Gabriel and Saliba got the better of him. He had that one incredible strike, which was saved by Ramsdale. Thankfully, he atoned for his massive error, but even then, yeah, Ramsdale, we all know how he almost cost Arsenal yesterday. 52 points with 4 doublers still to go. That's an incredible score, by the way. Surely you got a green arrow. 8 Nuri and Son saving me. Yeah, I can tell you had one of those picks in there at least. Yeah, Heung-min Son I think is kind of saving a lot of our weeks at the moment. I'm never ever going to take a hit for a defender from a crap team ever again. I understand Doughty, although I already had him, but all the other Luton defenders and Bournemouth defenders are waste. Yeah, I mean, I even look during the stream last time out, I compared the stats of Zabani and Kirkes, and they both have like 7 shots for the season. Their XG is not even 1. Like, the stats are horrendous. They average 2 points per game, but I really thought they'd keep a clean sheet against Sheffield United, so that already justifies the hit. And also looking ahead to Game Week 30, when Arsenal play Man City, you could actually bench the likes of Saliba and Ake and start Zabani, but yeah, I completely agree with you. Doughty, I think, kind of makes up for it because of his attacking potential, but yeah, I think Luton Town defenders and Bournemouth, even when they double, or in the case of Bournemouth, they double later in the season, I don't think I'll be there. I don't want to get the defenders. Being a West Ham fan is fun. Yeah, it must be up and down, but look, I mean, the last, 24 months, last 12 months have been a roller coaster, a real roller coaster. Relegation battle last season, then you had that kind of spark, you made that comeback against Arsenal, you went on a decent run in the league, and then you won the Europa Conference League, and now you're in a decent league position, but yeah, this calendar year has been a very bad one for West Ham so far. Hesham says, should I sell Foden or Saka to bring Maddison in? It's a difficult one, but I'd still rather have Saka. I just think he's more consistent than Foden, although you could certainly disagree with that. That's fair enough. Saka's on penalties. And also Game Week 31 facing Luton Town at home, Foden faces Villa. In Game Week 30, I will admit I would prefer Foden over Saka. I think Man City are more likely to win that game, and I think Foden is more likely to return. But yeah, if you're asking me, I still think Saka is the one to keep long term. Best strategy right now: 1, save chips, wildcard 30-31, 2, free hit 29, 3, wildcard 28. Yeah, I mean, it's all team dependent, and it's not really a cop out or a cliche answer. It's genuinely it's the right thing to say, because for me personally, I think free hitting in 29 is the best thing to do. But for someone else with 7-8 players already and a good crux of players of quality in that blank, yeah, I think the ideal scenario is saving the chips and then wildcarding in 30-31, or maybe even in 35, you free in 34, bench boost 37, but it's all team dependent. 39, that's good stuff, Joel. Bowen was a big disappointment. He was, but look, I don't even keep saying, because I didn't tell you so, I actually thought Bowen would do well, but he's never scored or assisted against Burnley. I thought he'd break that stat because he's facing Company's Burnley, but when you saw Burnley go 2-0 up, you gotta laugh. It's that sort of game week. Well, was the Reguilon to Zabani worth it? I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, mixed emotions. I think it's still the right decision, bad outcome, but then Reguilon does feature in 29, and he's got Burnley away. But if you're free hitting, I think it was the right transfer regardless. In Game Week 30 as well, Reguilon's playing Manchester United, while Zabani faces Everton at home. Twisted Parkio 6 says, if a defender not from a team that historically keeps clean sheets and offers zero attacking threat, we should avoid in the future. Yeah, but the thing was with Stupinian, he has been terrible in the last couple of weeks as an FPL asset, ever since he got subbed off against Luton Town at half-time. But yeah, in hindsight, yeah, I think keeping a Stupinian and starting Porro would have been better than taking a -8 for Doughty and Zabini. I can own up those mistakes, but I think with Solanke, I genuinely think that's unlucky, because it was a good call to captain him. On another day, he easily returns a massive haul. But yeah, Zabini and Doughty, especially Zabini, I completely agree with you there as well. Wasif says, I have Palmer, Neto, Doughty and Solanke captain left and 23 points with 1 KDB bonus left. Yeah, look, there's still time to salvage. The night is young, but yeah, for a lot of us, it's going to be very slim green arrows or red arrows, and it just really depends on where we're at. I'm quite happy that Son managed to salvage something for me, but it is what it is. Yeah, VAR, look, I mean, I've said this for so many years. I'm kind of tired of complaining about refs and VAR, so at this point, I try not to comment on it as much as possible. And officials can influence games, there's no denying that, but it is what it is. So I shouldn't do Foden to Salah, even though I have budget. In Game Week 30, I would. I really would. Of course, Salah came off the bench today, almost got that assist for Diaz, a great pass to put him through. And yeah, Salah against Brighton, I think he could go crazy. He could easily get a double-digit haul. And then it's Sheffield United at home in Game Week 31. We're all going to captain him if he's fit. I'm on 21 points this game week, has been a total disaster. Yeah, but a lot of us have similar scores. The template is very strong, so that's kind of one maybe saving grace, silver lining. Took a -4 for Solanke. I don't think it's a bad call, though. I'd feel bad about taking hits for Zabani, Kirkez, even Doughty, like I did, but I think Solanke, it's not a bad call. He's still got a game left. I'm backing him to do well. Although Stupinian got the clean sheet, he did look a bit shaky. Yeah, ironically, he actually played better in the previous Premier League games. Yeah, against Fulham, for example, and also in the other competitions. I don't think he played particularly well today, but it is what it is. He got 6 points. He was also very close to bonus points as well. Azaro12 says, I've been playing FPL since 2013, and this is the first weekend in which I've never got a goal or assist. Well, surely you've got players left though, right? So that could certainly change. There's always a first time for everything, but I'm hoping for in your case that you're able to get something. Do you think that double game weeks are overrated, or have we just been unlucky with them this season? I think it's a combination of both, Elliot. This season, they have been very overrated. Game week 25, it started off so well with Darwin and Jota combining. They both got injured, and once that happened, you kind of got that feeling something's going to go wrong. Look, Game Week 28, you know, a lot of people said this, not just me. A lot of people have pointed this out. It's Bournemouth and Luton Town doubling. You know, don't take our -12, -16, even a -8 is far too much to bring these players in. So I think from that perspective, this double game week is overrated. But for example, in 25 and the future doubles coming up, we're going to have many teams doubling. I still wouldn't completely overlook these players now just because double game weeks have flopped so far. I'd still try to think of it logically and bring in the best players possible. Sahil says 44 points so far with Palmer, Burn and Solanke captain left to play. That's decent. Should be a green arrow. I think Palmer and Solanke could certainly help. Who are the best defenders for Gameweek 29? It's slim pickings. If Region's fit, I'd put him in there. The other ones would be Doughty and Pedro Porro. That's pretty much it. The rest are terrible. Alex Moreno and Dean, there's rotation happening there. I don't think Villa keep a clean sheet against West Ham, although I never expected Spurs to do one today, so you never know in football. Yeah, it's a really slim pickings in the defence. I think in the midfield and forward line, we've got a lot more choice, but yeah, defence is really poor. I'm on 22 points. Yeah, I do feel for you, Twisted. Hopefully you can get those that score up significantly. Sahil says, I missed the deadline, so I have 2 transfers for next week, but I currently only have 3 players for Blank Gameweek. I'm not going to lie, I think you should play the free hit because, well, I'm assuming you have Son already. You probably have Watkins, and then you have one more player. You know, yeah, I think you need to free hit. Doku's foul wasn't intentional, and I don't think there should be a penalty when he only lifted his foot to clear the ball. That's what I'm saying. It's not a blatant penalty, but looking back on it, I do think it should have been given, but it wasn't clear cut. Like, I don't think it was an absolute robbery or something like that. For example, in yesterday's game, I think there was a much clearer penalty not given, and there's probably been worse calls throughout the season, much worse. Wildcard is my last option. Should I play it? Says Ernest. Depending on your team situation, arguably, I think Gameweek 29 is a poor time to wildcard because if you want to build a decent number of players who feature this week, yeah, and then take into account all the future doubles and the fixture swings coming up, I don't think it's a good idea. So I think wildcard 30 or 31 if you really want to play it very soon. But in Gameweek 29, I think it's quite an awkward time. How did Romero get 2 bonus points? I'm not sure, but I think this season Romero, at least at the beginning, he was actually getting a lot of bonus points and doing quite well. That Liverpool-Man City game ended 1-1 just as predicted, bro. And you changed your channel name. Yeah, of course. Just kind of testing the waters. I've done it before. I'll see how it goes, but it's really just for the search results and all of that. As for the 1-1, yes, that's what I did predict. But I think a lot of people did the same. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking, and I also was hoping for this result, and I'm quite happy with it. Not from an FPL perspective, but from a Premier League title race perspective, it's probably the best case scenario. 37 minus 4 with 6 to play. Son and Porro, yeah, fair play. I mean, I got Porro on my bench. I'm a bit gutted about that. Sold the Stupian for a hit, but Son did ease the pain a little bit. Free hit team, I'm not going to go for it today because in a few days' time, I'll make a dedicated free hit team video, but there aren't many options really. I think in the midfield, you could argue there's a bit of choice. In the forward line also for your third forward slot, but yeah, for example, the defenders and goalkeepers, it's very slim pickings. Went ahead with Gross to Bowen. I'll firm it. Yeah, I still think it's the right call, and Bowen is a better option for the next couple of weeks. I hit Gordon, trash baller. I want to say he's a trash baller. He's having a great season. A lot of returns at St James's Park, but yeah, I don't think he's like a great winger. I don't think he'll become world class, but I think he's a decent player, especially this season. 8 Nuri, best differential defender I bought 2 weeks ago and hauled both times I played him. Yeah, kind of ideal. He's cheap. Against Newcastle away, you don't expect a clean sheet, you bench him. Makes sense. I don't think 8 Nuri will sustain this in the long term, and he's quite injury prone, but you have to enjoy the points while they come. Feeling stupid to triple captain Solanke. Still a game left. You could feel a lot different by Wednesday. It wouldn't surprise me if Solanke scored a brace in that game and he ended up outscoring Haaland. It really wouldn't. And by Haaland, I mean back in double Gameweek 25 when he should have got much more. Wissa or Tony for Gameweek 29? Still Tony for me. I'm a bit concerned about his returns recently. 4 blanks in a row. Wissa provided goals against West Ham and Arsenal, although that's pretty much a gift by Ramsdale. Yeah, it's still Tony for me. 9 big chances in 9 games, and yeah, I'm backing him to break his goal-scoring drought. Bournemouth doesn't have a game in 29. Yeah, no, that's something we've covered many times. You know, with Bournemouth assets, you buy them for the double this week, and also their good game in 30. But Gameweek 29, we've only got 4 fixtures going ahead, 8 teams who have a game. Everyone else will blank. Chavain says, I have 7 players, excluding Region, for the next week. No free hit. Do I take hits and play wildcard in 30, or play with 8, 9 starting? 7 players is good. You don't need to take that many hits. Even 8 or 9, covering most of the key options, you're absolutely, well set up. And then you can wildcard in 30 or 31. Tony or Muniz? Look, Muniz has been in great form, much better than Tony, but I'm going to back Tony still, based on the fixture. And obviously Spurs were quite impressive today. I still think they're not that great defensively, but Maybe Van der Ven's injury could play a part. Apparently, Postecoglou was quite positive. He said they should be fine. It's not too serious. But yeah, Tony for me. ATMB Tham says, 45 points with 3 players to go. I got 8 players for Game Week 29. I think I'll make 1 transfer. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Who do you prefer? It would be Maddison. Great record against Fulham. He's never blanked at Craven Cottage. In the reverse fixture, he scored. And actually, before today, Maddison's last goal in the Premier League came in Game Week 9 against Fulham. Can I use my free transfer so free at the same game week? No. Your transfer will be cancelled out, and then going into the week after, your team reverts to how it was before you activate the free hit, and the transfer doesn't go through. FPL Boo Boo says, after taking a -8, immediate gains 5 points, and the good news is that 3 of them, including the captain, are still on the field. Can we say good game week, even if ended up on a red arrow? I wouldn't say so. I mean, yes, you might have made gains from the transfers, and so to speak, but I don't think any week where you get a red arrow is a good one. You know, it's maybe very specific and circumstantial. You know, if, for example, you start off the game week so poorly and like you're getting a massive red arrow, and then you manage to salvage something at the end, and you only go down a few places, fair enough. That's not a bad kind of game week in the end. But for me personally, a red arrow is a red arrow and a bad week. Well, the 10 points on Haaland triple captain look massive now. Yeah, look, maybe we kind of scoff or, you know, underestimate it and kind of expected too much. I think that's what it came down to. And also the chances Haaland had in both games, he should have scored at least 2 or 3 goals across the double. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the 10 points in retrospect, but Solanke could easily make us look like fools in the second game. Oh yeah, nothing wrong with Solanke and Morris because they are more likely to return. Yeah, it's the defenders. I still think Doughty's a decent pick, but 2 away games, I never expected a clean sheet. After making the transfer, I actually regretted it and thought I should have gone for Kirkes, but ultimately the right answer was I should have gone for none of them and just kept the Stupinian and Bodra for now. Because either way, I'll be wildcarding them out fairly soon, or I could have in that scenario. Not free hitting in 29, better to get Bodra or Maddison. Maddison. The one silver lining for most of us is it's a crap week, but we're in it together. Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of that. You know, for example, in UCL Fantasy, if you have a bad week and a lot of people have a good one, it doesn't feel great, but you know, the template is also it's much weaker and it's much more interesting. Singh says Salah plus Bowen to Odoi and / Elliott plus Salah -4 in Game Week 30 or make the move in 31. I'm not sure who the first midfielder is because you say Salah and Bowen. So yeah, I'm not sure what you're doing there, but yeah, I would buy Salah. Not a big fan of Hudson-Odoi or Elliott, to be honest, from an FPL perspective. Odoi might be decent for Game Week 29, but I'm not a big fan of him beyond that. I'm thinking of selling Bailey Solanke to get Salah. That's a good idea. Well, in Game Week 30 or 31, yes. The thing is with Solanke, he has good fixtures until 32. And a lot of people will end up selling Watkins instead and keeping Solanke, who might even double in 34. But yeah, I'm not against that. Elliot says, I have Palmer, Solanke captain and Doughty left. If Gordon on my bench doesn't return and Bournemouth defenders don't keep a clean sheet, I should be able to hold on for my 7th green arrow in a row. Yeah, and to be fair, it's away from home. I am expecting Gordon to blank, but who knows at this point. Only have 11 points as Wei saying. Yeah, but if Solanke gets even just 1 goal, that does transform your week quite considerably, actually. So let's see how it pans out, but it's been a terrible start for a lot of us. Twisted Parky says, if anyone has an asset for Monday and Morris and Solanke on Wednesday, we could still have a good week with top asset flops. Don't count out Luton, Bournemouth defenders, though. Oh, don't count on. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a perfect way of summing it up. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about Morris, so to speak. I think he could do well. Yeah, Solanke, I think, should do something. Doughty, I'm hoping for an attacking return, but really it's just Solanke, Morris and Palmer. I think that could make a big difference from now on. What are the teams that are going to double in the upcoming game weeks? There are a lot of them. Oh, Kudus is just removed. Okay, thank you, Yogesh, for correcting me. So Ash, the teams doubling later in the season. Let me just get this up now. Look, the reason why I'm going to search up is because they're provisional, they're projected, and for example, in Game Week 34, Manchester United are projected to have a double right now against Newcastle and Sheffield United at home, but that could easily go into Game Week 37, just depending on how the fixture scheduling ends up going. So let me bring up FPL.team. So this is courtesy of FPL.team and Planet FPL and their projected fixtures for the rest of the season. So let me bring this up. In Game Week 34, in Game Week 34. Yeah, we could have 4 teams doubling. So Crystal Palace facing West Ham at home and Newcastle at home. Manchester United, Newcastle, and Sheffield United will be the other teams doubling. In Game Week 35, we could have Brighton and Chelsea having a double. In Game Week 37, it could be the biggest double game week, at least since Game Week 25. So we could have Bournemouth, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, and Wolves all doubling. So that's all the teams doubling. Also Arsenal, if I didn't say Arsenal, they're another one who double in Game Week 37. So the teams that double from now until the end of the season are Arsenal, Bournemouth, let's see if I'm missing anyone, Brighton, Chelsea, and by the way, Chelsea will have 2 doubles, potentially in 35 and 37, Crystal Palace, Everton, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Spurs, Wolves. Those are all the teams that are that have a double. If I didn't say Sheffield United, by the way, my brain's kind of fried. They're another one that double in 34. So yeah, that's the answer. West Ham are going to double. Same with Nottingham Forest. Also, who else? Let's see who else is not going to double. So West Ham, Nottingham Forest. Luton Town won't have a double from now until the end of the season. The other ones are Fulham, that don't double. Burnley won't double, and either way, we won't be that interested really. Brentford won't double, and Aston Villa. They are absolutely guaranteed to not double unless something kind of funny happens between them and Arsenal in Game Week 33, but that's very unlikely. So yeah, that is the answer to your question. Let me know what you think, and thank you to those that are tuning in. We've got almost 200 people watching. Smash the like buttons, and let's get that ratio up much higher. Let's get this stream to over 100 likes and then push on to 150 and beyond. Also subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my FPL content. There's also UCL Fantasy videos and live streams every single time that UCL Fantasy is on, and there's much more headed your way. If you become a patron or a channel member, you can gain early access to my videos and also a lot of other perks like priority reply to comments and a lot more. So be sure to check that out. There's a link to Drafttown as well. Before I go back to your questions, I'm going to go through a few different screens and see how we are at this stage of Game Week 28 heading into 29. So in terms of the FDR, the fixture difficulty rating, Nottingham Forest are top. Burnley, Brentford, Fulham and Spurs are in the top 5, and a lot of it has to do with the teams that feature in Game Week 29. There's no coincidence that all 8 teams that feature in this blank game week are all in the top 8. In terms of those at the bottom 5, Man United, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Brighton and Everton, there are a lot of fixture swings heading our way. For example, from Game Week 31 until the end of the season, I'm fairly sure Aston Villa will be quite low down in the FDR. They're actually bottom. So a lot of fixture swings heading our way, and that's where the wild card can actually play a very big part in how we end this season. In terms of predicted points, we've got Heung-min Son in first place with 6.7. Tony, Watkins, Bowen and Maddison are in the top 5. Fofana is 6th. We've got Wissa, Bailey, Muniz and Morris in the top 10. I completely agree with the top 4. The rankings are obviously subjective in terms of you can put them in any order, but I think Son is the best option. And actually, I'd put Maddison in the podium. He's got a great record against Fulham. I can't stress that enough. He was already in my buy list for the Trans Tips video before he scored today. I'll be covering him very soon in that video. In terms of projected price changes, Heung-min Son, Morris, Ben White, Bowen, Region, they could all go up in price tonight, although Region might slow down and end up not going up in price because he's currently yellow flagged. He missed the game against Arsenal with a hamstring strain, I believe, and hopefully it's not too serious. It's only a couple of days and he's available for Game Week 29. Ferguson is set to go down in price. And we've got more price changes happening over the week, of course. In terms of Drafttown, they're recommending a few transfers for me. So Foden and Zabani out for Bowen and Region. But as you can see on my squad, I'm almost certainly going to free hit in Game Week 29. Not ideal, but I should gain at least 5 players, avoid taking a hit, and also be able to buy Maddison, who I think could be a great option. Now, to be fair, I also would like Maddison for Game Week 30, but it is what it is. And my main issue is not being able to buy Salah back in Game Week 30. I might have to wait until 31. I might even need to wildcard in order to buy the Egyptian back. And I will also show you what Drafttown are recommending for the best free hit team. You know what? We might as well show it now very quickly. This will be updated by the time I upload the best free hit team videos. So Flecken is their suggested goalkeeper. They've got Sells as the backup, Pedro Porro, Reguilon and Doughty as the back three. I think that's the best defensive three you can go for, assuming that Reguilon will be fit. Son, Bowen, Madison, Douglas Luiz and Bailey. And then it's Watkins and Muniz up front. So a very solid team by Draft Town. There are going to be a few changes that I'm going to make compared to this Draft Town team, but it's pretty solid. Morris, Mengi and Estevi. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but I think Morris is a very underrated pick against Nottingham Forest at home. And Sells could be quite underrated, just depending on how that match ends up going. But I think the starting 11 is actually pretty good there by Draft Town. And if you can see here, the expected points from my team compared to, for example, this free hit team, is a massive difference. And if these algorithms are right, I think the free hit will pay off. If you gain 20-30 points from it, I think that's a successful free hit. But that's just my opinion, of course. If we now go to the most captain player in the top 10k, it was Dominic Solanke. Almost 90% of managers went for him. Haaland was second, Morris third. So far, all of them have flopped. Saka was fourth. To be fair, he also flopped. Watkins as well. Everyone in the top 5 has flopped so far, but I would back Solanke and Morris to do something. Bowen was 6th. Semenyo 7th. And Son. Fair play to those that went for Son this week. 17 points. That is massive and a season-changing decision to captain him. And if we now look at FPL.team very quickly, this is how my team could look like in Gameweek 30. 1.2 million in the bank, only one free transfer because the free hit means you will have one free transfer after deploying the chip. I would have Dubravko, Areola in goal. I absolutely hate Areola. Ake, Zabani, Pedro Porro back three. Gordon, Foden, Palmer and Son midfield 4. Haaland, Solanke and Watkins up front. If I were to try get Salah in, it might require selling Haaland for a -4. And I don't think that's worth it. Even though Arsenal is a tough game, Haaland is capable of scoring against them. There's no denying that. So, interesting decisions to be made over the next couple of weeks. My current plan is to free hit 29, potentially wildcard in Gameweek 31. But I might even save the wildcard for later in the season. And look, I could actually still buy Salah, but it would require downgrading Watkins to a budget option like Muniz, for example. Maybe I could even go to a more expensive striker. In the future, I could go for Højlund, who might even double in 34. So there's a lot of football to be played. A lot of things could change, and we'll have a much clearer picture about the future doubles later in the season, probably from Gameweek 30 onwards. So let's see how that pans out. The FA Cup results this week during Gameweek 29 will also play a big part. So let's go back to my team, which has been awful so far. Son is the only shining light, the only one to have returned. Blanks everywhere else. I have Pedro Porro on my bench. I sold Estupinian for a hit, so it has been a poor week so far, but it could have been much worse if I didn't buy back Son fairly recently. So yeah, be sure to drop a like. Like I say, we do have almost 200 people watching. Let's be sure to get this to over 100. Yeah, Stefan, I can feel that. I'm guessing you had double Gameweek defenders there, and that's why you did it. Sahil says, well, I don't have free hit. I played it earlier because of injuries, so I'm going into Blank Gameweek with only Areola, Son and Watkins. Fair enough, it's not ideal. Yeah, I know some people who've used all their chips already. Happy Human says it's lonely at the top. Yeah, I mean, enjoy it while it lasts, but yeah, it's Man City away next, so it's going to be a difficult one. But it's a good title race up until now. I'm just kind of, even now, being top, I'm just a bit regretful about the points dropped against Fulham, against West Ham. They should never have happened, even Newcastle away, but that's football. Hi Dylan, sorry if I missed. Why Kudus wasn't given assist for Ings' goal deflection? Yes, I believe so. It wasn't even an official assist in the first place, and he got the assist originally in FPL, and then they took it away. But you know how FPL can be sometimes. They are quite inconsistent when it comes to assists. TechXEO says Solanke and Nacho -4 to Tony and Madison, or a -8 by doing Kirkes to Borro as well. I just stick to a -4. I like Borro next week, but I don't think I take a hit for him. If I were to take hits next week, it would only be for midfielders and forwards, if I'm being completely transparent. Thoughts of Reguilon, or better to take hit? Wait for updates in regards to Reguilon's injury. If he is out, then unfortunately it might, you might need to sell him. But in terms of taking hits, as I just mentioned to Tech, I'd rather take the hits for midfielders or forwards for Blank Gameweek 29 specifically. I could do a wild card, but it would be a waste. I think it could work, and maybe at some point I will make a wildcard video for this week because it could be an underrated strategy, but I just think it's better to wait until 30-31. You also have a much clearer idea of future doubles. You're kind of going in blind if you wildcard now, and yeah, you don't save it for later. But it's all team dependent, of course. Foden to Maddison for free, yeah. I do like Maddison still. Sorry, I do like Foden still. But yeah, Maddison over the next two should outscore him quite comfortably. To all Jimenez coming back, any Muniz plan might need to be binned. The thing is, though, the way Muniz is playing, it'd be very unfair to bench him. I personally think Muniz will play on start against Tottenham. You might be right about the longer term that Muniz, would be an issue, but he's always a budget striker you can bench, so it's not a big deal for me. Foden or Son to Salah at Gameweek 30 or 31. My preference would be Foden to Salah in Gameweek 30, but Spurs' fixtures turn for the worse in 34, and Man City have a great run from Gameweek 32 until the end of the season, so quite difficult actually. From what you're saying, I'd rather sell Foden to Salah in Gameweek 30, but you might also need to do a switcheroo, and then you do Son to Foden around Gameweek 34. Solanke Kirker Smith gave me a total 0. Yeah, it's been an absolute disaster, hasn't it? I mean, you've got to laugh about it, otherwise you'll cry. Wednesday will be a big day. Indeed, it will be. It's not like I even have that many doublers, but the fact I took a -8, even if they all get returned somehow on Wednesday, I'd still regret it, to be honest. Dylan Ruff, free hit essentials for Gameweek 29. I think it's quite, I want to say obvious, but I think they stand out. They speak for themselves. Son, Maddison, Tony, Watkins. I think those 4 and Bowen are my 5 essentials for the free hit and for your normal teams as well. Will Reguilon play in 29? I honestly have no idea. We don't know how bad the extent of the injury is. Should I sell Solanke to Tony? I have value tied up in Solanke and want him back in 30. I think Tony's a good option for this week, and Brentford have good fixtures from 32 until the end of the season. But if you want Solanke back in 30 and you've already got Morris and Watkins, I think it might be best for you to focus on the midfield transfers instead. But having said that, Solanke's fixtures do turn for the worst in Gameweek 32. So I don't think it's the end of the world to sell Solanke, to be honest. And the main reason I bought him back was for double Gameweek 28, and that's pretty much it. Ankel says, took an additional -4 to swap Senesi for Zabani so I can bench Borro. Yeah, don't worry, I did something similar, so it is what it is. It is what it is. Bench Gross and Romero, I feel dumb on 29, -4, 25 points with Palmer and Gusto to play. But who did you bench? Sorry, who did you start over them? I think Romero being benched is absolutely fine. I don't think that's a bad call. With Gross, it depends on who you started over him, but even if you go, went for a double Gameweek player, Foden, I think that was the right call. People overrate the triple captainship too much. Your average expected captain is around 10 points. Yeah, I mean, look, even the bench boost is quite overrated as well. But once you play the chip, you do want that kind of extra advantage over others. It feels good when you play a chip and it works out. The wildcard is by far the most powerful. Then it's the free hit, which could gain you 20, 30 points if you play it at the right time. But then again, it's team dependent and it depends on a lot of factors. Yeah, that is good, Matthew. Of course it is. Ashes says, horrible game week so far. Estupinian out, bought Kirkes, hoping the remaining players perform well. To be honest, I think it was a good decision. Despite how poor Bournemouth defenders are, we all expected a clean sheet in the first game, and then anything they got against Luton was a bonus. Everton fiction game week 30. Estupinian is a sell anyway. Those that took his points this week, enjoy it. I'd still sell him in game week 29 or 30. I don't think it's a viable option in the long term. Singh says, my bad, I meant Bowen plus Foden to Salah and bench fodder. I'm considering something, sorry, I can't even speak, I'm almost said Quanta, kind of similar around game week 31. Yeah, I probably would, to be fair. Now, Bowen and Foden can both do well in game week 30, and I would like Foden back around game week 32 if possible, but yeah, I think it is genuinely worth it. So Roto Palmer up to 4.8 million in game week 30 -4, or just wait for the move in game week 31 without hits. I'd probably wait until game week 31 without hits. Now, there's no denying that Salah captain, against Brighton at home, that could certainly pay off already, even for a hit. But because Bowen's facing Newcastle away and Foden's facing Arsenal at home, I still think they could return there. So I'd probably wait until 31 and do it for free. I'm using my free and 29. Which defenders do you suggest to have? I've covered this already a few times, but Doughty, Reguilon if he's fit, and Pedro Porro are the standouts. If Reguilon is out, I think we have a real problem in our hands. You know, like who do you even go for? I don't think Aston Villa keep a clean sheet. I don't think West Ham do either. I certainly don't think Luton Town do, and Doughty's more than enough. I wouldn't go for a Nottingham Forest defender. I think sometimes you just have to get lucky with that third pick, you know, that kind of differential, whether you go for a Lang in the midfield, Awani up front, or Morris, or if you just go for this random defender that returns. But I think Pedro Porro and Doughty are the best ones. Biggest debate for next week is captain Son or Watkins. I'd say Son. But Watkins, look, he's the highest scoring player in FPL for a reason. I wouldn't discount him. I think it's between those two and Tony. And you know what? Another one I think that's quite underrated is Maddison. I might even captain him next week and go for him over Son, although that could certainly backfire. Top 5 essentials for Gameweek 29. I literally just covered this earlier, so let me know if you got that. Otherwise, I'll go through it again later. Mukaji says, should I sell the likes of Palmer, Saka, Gabriel, Solanke and get them back part of the wild card? Depends how many hits you're taking. I wouldn't be taking massive hits in 29. I'd rather play the free hit than take a -12 or -16 in what is probably going to be a low-scoring game week. You know, a free hit saving you that many hits and also gaining you players, I think that's perfect time to play it. So yeah, that's the kind of big factor. Ideally, I would keep Saka, Palmer, and Solanke. Gabriel, I think I'm more open to selling him. You can always buy him back in 31 on the wildcard or 32, but yeah, especially Palm and Solanke, they are must-haves almost, or great options in Gameweek 30. Blazy says, I took the risk to take out Haaland for Morris this week. Bit annoyed Bowen blanked, but it's looking good for Gameweek 29. Yeah, look, overall, it should pay off regardless, even if Morris blanks on Wednesday and in Gameweek 29. So, yeah, that's pretty solid. Thank you, Ash. No worries there. And of course, like I said, all the projected double game weeks I listed were courtesy of FPL.team and Planet FPL. And I do reference FPL.team a lot of times in my videos. Should we all have ETRZ in our team now? Lol. My mind is going blank. Who is that? Unless you're talking about Estupinian, I don't even know. I'm just bugging out. Oh, is that Havertz? Oh, Havertz. Should we all have Ertz? Okay, yeah, sorry about that. No, but he's in great form. He really is. That's his best Premier League streak. 4 games in a row with a goal. Yeah, he's been really good recently. And even beyond the goals and assists, he's just playing well. He's finding these passes in tight spaces. He's getting into great positions. He's just playing well overall. So it's good to see. Hopefully he can keep it up and build on it. And to be honest, he has been quite good since November. He has had some rough patches, and I have questioned why Arsenal have signed him many times, but I'm happy that it's working out up until now. Let's see if he can build upon this. Was Kirk's sub an injury? I don't think so. I might be mistaken, but I'm fairly sure it wasn't an injury-related issue, which is also quite concerning. Freddie Ebbing says, will having 10 players for 29 worth it to take a -4 for Bodro? Yes, so wait for updates on Region. If he's fine, you don't need to take a hit whatsoever. And to be honest, even 9 players for free, I'd take that. I don't think you need to take a -4 hit for Bodro. I think Fulham could score, and then you're relying on attacking returns. Fulham does double though. Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right about that. I think I might have got that wrong. Let me just double check that on Fulham. Let's see. Fulham. Oh. Yeah, up until now, I don't think Fulham do double. So Fulham's remaining fixtures are Tottenham at home in Gameweek 29. They've got Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, West Ham, Liverpool, Crystal Palace in Gameweek 35. In Gameweek 36, they face Brentford. And the last 2 games are Manchester City at home and Luton away. So yeah, no projected doubles for Fulham. And of course, one thing that does play a big part is the teams that are now featuring in Gameweek 29, they won't double in future double game weeks. Of course, not all of them, but in the case of Aston Villa, for example, and Fulham, no doubles later in the season. Got 0 from Solanke as captain and took a -4, but so far still in a healthy green arrow. Yeah, look, still that's very good. Great position to be in. And look, I think Solanke captain will end up paying off. It might not be the best captaincy option you'll ever see, but I think he'll get 1 attacking contribution at least. NH1999 says, took a -4 to bring in Solanke. I think we all did. Felt justified, as if that pen had gone in, it would have worked out. Yeah, it's a case of good decision, bad outcome. But remember, it's a bad outcome up until now. Wednesday could certainly change your outlook and will be much more positive about Solanke by the end. as I would have captained Saka otherwise, who blanked. Yeah, look, even if Solanke just gets 2 points, it's the right call. It's 2 games compared to 1 for Saka, and yeah, a lot of blanks this week. A lot of big hitters just not really delivering this week, and Son's the only one. 8 Nuri deserves a special mention in all platforms. Yeah, he's been very impressive recently, but like I mentioned earlier, I don't think he'll be sustainable. I think there will be a drop-off. He's also quite injury-prone, but for those that went for 8 Nuri, fair play, and it's a game-changing decision, arguably, since that blank in 26, going for him has really paid off. I think a lot of free hit 29 teams must be worried now after this game week. I don't know. It would not surprise me, actually, if Game Week 29 ended up being more or higher scoring than Game Week 28. It really wouldn't. So I'm kind of hoping that's the case where, you know, the kind of low scoring game week has happened now, and then Game Week 29 benefits the free hitters, but that's kind of wishful thinking, maybe. Roman Jarvis says, hi Dylan, currently on 8 players, planning on taking a -4 to get to 10. Who would you say are the biggest buys not named Son, Bone and Watkins? Tony and Maddison, and I'd probably put Maddison first. So the way I'd rank the options is probably Son first. I'd actually put Maddison second, Watkins third, Tony fourth, and Bowen fifth. That's my ranking, and probably my captaincy ranking as well for Game Week 29. So yeah, Maddison is my answer. Tony is also someone to consider, despite the 4 consecutive blanks. Triple captain Solanke, but no hits, 34 points, still have the free hit. Yeah, not too shabby. Could be a green arrow for you by the end. And yeah, the free hit could be very useful, whether using Game Week 29 or later in the season. Sean Horgan says, Saka and Solanke out for Maddison and Tony -4. Going in 29 with 10 players and still have my free hit. Currently 19k. Time to push on now. Brilliant stream as usual, Dylan. Thank you, Sean. That looks great, to be honest. I would take a hit for that, for Maddison and Tony. To have 10 players as well, save the free hit. That is the ideal scenario, in my opinion. H. Singh says -8 for Maddison, Tony, and Gibbs White. Honestly, I'd just take a -4 and go for Maddison and Tony. Maybe I'm wrong about Gibbs White. He might be a differential. And I also mentioned Alanga in recent videos to consider for Game Week 29. And yeah, don't let me discourage you, but I personally wouldn't take a -8 for Gibbs White. Just my opinion. Henry Stemmer says, I have 8 players and 1 free transfer. Should I do a -8 to get all of Maddison, Son, and Tony? Now, that's a dilemma because, for me, the 3 players you mentioned are 3 of the best options in the game week, and you want to cover these. I think I'd settle for a -4 and get to 10 players. That's what I would do in your situation, Henry. I wouldn't go for all 3 for a -8 unless you genuinely believe they all will do extremely well. And in that case, it might be worth the risk, but I think a -8 in a blank game week, which could possibly be worse than this one in terms of points scored. We could be looking at 30-40 points as being a good total. Yeah, I think a -4 for Maddison and Son would be my preference. Will there be another blank game week? As things stand, no. When I made my chip strategy guide a few weeks ago, the projections at the time did indicate a mixture of blanks and doubles in Game Week 34, but at the time of this stream, that isn't the case. Yeah, that's actually a good question, Roman. I'm not sure why, but I'm hoping he does start against Luton Town. He got 2 assists against them in the reverse fixture. He could be a very underrated option for the blank. Welcome, Linus K. Great to see you. Hey, Dylan, I have no free hit left. Should I bring in Tony for a hit? Yeah, I think so. Assuming you have Maddison and Son, I think you're well set up for this week. Yeah, I completely agree. I hate Marmite. I would say the same thing if I had a small green arrow. If it was a massive one, maybe not, but that's where the hypocrisy comes in. Triple captain Solanke and 42 points. Yeah, that could easily turn into 60-70 by the end if Solanke gets 1 attack and return. Robinson from Fulham. Yeah, but the problem is Tottenham at home. I mean, even if Fulham win that game or get a draw, I just don't see them keeping a clean sheet. And Robinson's attacking potential is very limited. Can I make a free transfer? No. Yeah, I've been asked this question a few times. The answer is no for this. Once you free hit, it cancels any transfers you've made. The following game week, after you play the free hit, your team reverts to how your team was originally before you played the free hit chip. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. You also get 1 free transfer. You can't roll them over. Do you know why Hudson-Odoi and Alanga were benched? I honestly have no idea, but I would back Alanga to start in Game Week 29 against Luton Town, but I honestly have no clue. FPL flop show for me, says Gaurav. Fair enough. Yeah, I got that, sorry. Yeah, no worries, Elliot. I know. It wasn't your fault anyway, because, yeah, you made that comment before I said it, and then by the time I said it, yeah, you get my drift. Denver CPT786 says, Havertz and Son saving my game week. Should have left Doughty and Zabani on the bench instead of a Doggy and Burn. Wow, Havertz, fair play, Denver. Honestly, fair play. A Doggy and Burn on the bench. To be honest, I don't expect anything from Burn. A Doggy, I didn't expect anything from him. I think it's a case of good decision, bad outcome. But yeah, I regret benching Borro and selling a Stupinian for a hit. Eddie08 says Muniz for Solanke for free, no free hit, playing free with the essentials and keeping Sak and Foden good. Yes, but if you can do it, I would recommend Tony over Muniz. I really would. Rune says, hey Dylan, the Fulham double being mentioned is the likely blank in phase 4 if Liverpool make it far in the FA Cup. Yeah, you might be right. It's just at the time of this recording. Yeah. I mean, that's probably why. They probably will blank in phase 4. You are right. It's just, I don't think the current projections take that into account. So once the FA Cup results happen in Gameweek 29, that's when we'll see an update in terms of future doubles and blanks. So yeah, you might be completely right about that. McAllister showed he's a much better value asset, not talking FPL, than Enzo. Yes, it's kind of an awkward one for me because they obviously did a lot for Argentina, but yeah, McAllister has been much better during their time in the Premier League. But then again, it also helps. He plays in a much better team. Enzo plays in a dysfunctional squad, full of inconsistency. And one thing I would say is that last season, when Enzo first joined, he was actually playing quite well in every single game, giving a 7 out of 10 performance. The only kind of game where that might not have been the case was Borussia Dortmund away, when Adeyemi completely ripped him. But yeah, this season Enzo's been quite poor, to be honest. I think he's much better than that. And I even said at the time, I don't want Enzo to go to Chelsea. I think he'll ruin his career. And so far that's happening, and I hope he can fix that. Put Son captain. Yes, in Gameweek 29, I think he is the best captaincy option, but what I like about Maddison is his record against Fulham. I think that's very appealing to me. Yeah, bonus points are out, but I've got none of them, so no need to refresh the page. Elliot says, do you think I should bring in Son for Gordon now? Son rises in price tonight and will probably rise in the week as he'll be the most transferred in player. I'd still wait just in case, but yeah, I mean, I think Son will be available. I don't see anything happening in the interim. Gordon's a good option in Gameweek 30 up until 35, but yeah, I probably would make it. Pancatch says, is bringing in Son essential now? For Gameweek 29, I think so, and he's a great option for 30. For those that can't get to Sal in Gameweek 30, try to ensure you have Son at least at home to Luton Town. From those players, I'd sell Odegaard. I really would. He's been incredible recently since December, but FPL-wise, I would sell Odegaard to Son. Arsenal top of the table right now. Consistency is the key. Yeah, it is, but yeah, it wasn't so long ago that Arsenal had that poor winless streak, which was very costly, and I still think it could cost them in the end of the season. I don't want to be pessimistic, but we've got to be realistic, and one thing I've learned with Arsenal is don't get your hopes up, but obviously enjoy the moment. I'm definitely doing that. The football is beautiful right now. Brentford was a bit more of a cagey game, but yeah, this upturn in form, the Premier League record in 2024 has been incredible. There's no denying that. A -8 in a blank game week is actually just a -2 since you gain 6 points. Yeah, I mean, you can see it that way, but a lot of people will be using the free hit. And I'd say most people will stick to making free transfers or taking -4s. I just think a -8 could make it, I want to say unlikely, but it would make it much more difficult to get a green arrow. That's just the way I see it, but you are right in terms of selling a blank game week player for someone who features. You aren't really losing out on much. You're only losing out on 2 points there. I bench Garnacho on Borro this week. Yeah, I mean, with Borro, I don't think any of us expected Aston Villa to not score. With Garnacho, yeah, at home to Everton, but you might have started a better FPL asset, so it's not the end of the world, in my opinion. Mr. Parkio6 says, I have Areola, Leno, Doughty, Regan if fit, Son, Bowen, Getting Mad, Morris, and Tony. Is this enough? Yes. If you can, though, I'd honestly recommend getting Maddison. I'm going to keep mentioning him today, but I really back him to do well against Fulham. And I genuinely mean this. I would have said the exact same if he didn't score today. That isn't really relevant in my mind, but I really think he can do well against Fulham. It's a team he likes playing against during his time at Leicester. Any chance Boomer would be ready to play? I think there is a small chance, but at the moment, he's not close. You just have to hope that he can join team training this week and be fit enough to start. But I think that's a big if. Even if he is, you know, let's say in team training, I think Mbeumo will be benched and they'll ease him back in because he has been out for a long time. Sankalp says, I have Bowen, Tony, Watkins, Son, and Morris. Does this list cover all the required attacking options? Not Maddison. I hate to say it. He's the only one I think you're really missing. But apart from that, yes, I think you're covering the best options. Already have Tony, debating on captaining him. Yeah, look, if you captain Tony, make sure that you're captaining him because you genuinely think he's going to score the most points. I know there's this thinking where you want to go differential, and to be honest, if you look at FPL this season and arguably in the last couple of years, sometimes when you just go for this kind of different option like Son this week, or maybe Saka away to West Ham a few weeks ago, you know, it can really pay off. But yeah, only go for Tony captain if you genuinely think he's going to score the most points or do really well. For me personally, Son and Maddison are the top of my list. They really are. I think Tony would be fourth, just behind Watkins. Thank you, Jonas. Massively appreciated. Did you answer about why Elanga and Hudson-Odoi were benched? The answer is basically I don't know. That's pretty much it. Linus K says, like the new name change. Hopefully it brings you some new subscribers. You deserve it. Thank you, Linus. I massively appreciate it. Yeah, Dylan RCM is kind of something I made many years ago when I made my Instagram account. Yeah, and of course, it's the name I started off this YouTube channel, and I might even change it back to it, but yeah, just going to see. I did trial the FPL Dylan name temporarily. Didn't see a big difference, but let's wait and see. Hopefully you're right, and the numbers will keep going up. Thank you very much, Linus, as always. Pankaj says, terrible gimmick for me, 16 points, Solanke triple captain, Kaminsky, Doughty, Smith, Gordon, Solanke left. Yeah, look, all I can say is I feel for you. The same goes for everyone who's getting a red arrow so far, me included. Although I don't feel sorry for myself because taking hits for Zabani and Doughty, I already knew that was a risk. So yeah, either way, you've got plenty of players left. Solanke triple captain, I think, will be enough for you to secure a green arrow. True strikers for Gameweek 29, Watkins and Tony. What's the acceptable number of players I should field in 29? I'd say 8. 8 would be acceptable. Definitely. And if you cover Son, Maddison, Tony, Watkins, Bowen, I think you're absolutely set. Keep 8 Nuri. Well, if we look at Wolves' fixtures, they blank this week. They face Aston Villa away in 30. Then it's Burnley, West Ham, Nottingham Forest. I'd argue he's a keep until 34. Now, Wolves could double in 37, and it would be a great double, by the way. Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. But yeah, I'd say 8 Nuri is a keep. I mean, there aren't many good defenders right now. And yeah, I mean, you've got to enjoy the points from Nuri at the moment. You just have to hope he doesn't get injured. He does pick up quite a few, if I'm not mistaken. Non-free hit teams actually look like having a big advantage now going into Gameweek 30 with triple Spurs at home versus Luton and getting Salah in for free. Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. It'll be funny to see how it all pans out. But like I said, I do regret some of the transfers I've made recently. Yeah, I really have regretted some of them. Back in Gameweek 26, even in Gameweek 25, the players I sold, a lot of points have been lost. Fingun says, haha, I bench both Foden and Haaland. Well, enjoy it. 6 players for Gameweek 29. Should we free hit? I think, look, if you've got a low number of players like 6 or 7, I think I wouldn't free hit if you've got the key options. So Son, Maddison, Tony, Watkins, and Bowen. If you've got those 5 and you've got 6, 7 players, I think that's enough. Very weird game week, yes. Yesterday, on the Saturday, it seemed like everyone, you know, it just seemed like a nightmare scenario and someone was writing a script. You think I should put Foden in for Game Week 31? Against Aston Villa at home, I mean, I still would like Foden in that game week, to be fair, but it's all about priorities, right? Would I rather have Foden against Villa at home or Son away to West Ham? That's quite a close one, to be fair, but I'd probably favour Son a little bit more. Then in Game Week 31, Saka at home to Luton Town. You've got Salah at home to Sheffield United. I think Chelsea would have, Man United at home, so that would be Cole Palmer, with Newcastle, Everton at home. So there are plenty of alternatives. You don't need to go for Foden, C or C, as we say. But yeah, I think Foden's a good option against Villa in Game Week 31. Thanks, Dylan, for 29 thoughts. Message. Getting mad meant Maddison. But I might skip -4 for Watkins. But if Reguilon's not fit, I might have to reconsider a -4. But as this week shows, might not be great. Yeah, imagine, for a double game week, the hits aren't paying off. And now going into a blank game week with only 4 fixtures and 8 teams. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But that's why we play FPL, and football, it's completely unpredictable at times. So is Morgan Gibbs White the only Forest asset worth considering for 29? I still think Elanga and Hudson-Odoi are worth considering, especially Elanga. I personally think Elanga will start in 29, but let's wait and see over the week if we get any updates. Is there an injury or something involved? I mean, why was Elanga benched? I honestly have no idea. I'll look into that, though, and see if I can find an explanation, because it is a good question. Smith, Robertson to Region, and Solanke to Tony Wissa. Region's currently injured. He missed the Arsenal game in Game Week 28. I think it's a hamstring strain, I think it is. That's what's being reported. So hold off on the Region move for now. Solanke to Tony is what I'd recommend. And like I said, Maddison, Son, Bowen, and Watkins are essential, I think, for Game Week 29, especially Son and Maddison. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. Yeah, just to Bucky, I think we do have much more than that. I think we're on 70, 80 likes at the moment. Thank you, Chad Scott, as well. But yeah, be sure to keep on plugging away at the likes. We're very close to 100. We are 23 away, so be sure to do that. Get your questions in. Also, let me know how you're doing in Game Week 28. Hopefully much better than I am. Are you wildcarding in 31 or 35, 36, Dylan? I'm keeping my options open, to be quite honest. My preference would be wildcarding later because I'm free hitting this week. It's almost certain I'm going to do that. The free in 29 and wildcard in 31, in such a short space of time isn't great, because then I've got 34 and 37, and a free hit, for example, or wildcarding into Game Week 34 would be really ideal, actually. So yeah, my current plan is probably still to wildcard in 31, but if I'm able to, I might just push it out until later in the season. Fingun says, I've got Areola, Doughty, Chong, Elanga, Son, Watkins. I mean, Son and Watkins, great. The rest is pretty... I mean, Elanga could be really nice, by the way. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, Chong, wouldn't really expect much. Areola as well. He's just... I hate him. As for Doughty, good fixture on paper. But yeah, I think you are missing Maddison, Tony, Bowen. It's not much, but they could do really well this week for me. Elliot Enright says, would you ever consider doing shorts on your channel? I saw that you have 2 short videos about gaming, and also wondered whether you do any gaming streams maybe on Twitch. Yeah, those videos are something else, aren't they? Yeah, on Twitch I have considered it, because I had a few friends who stream on Twitch, and they also recommended it to me. And when I actually first started out this channel, I actually did some gaming streams and videos, but once I started doing FPL content consistently, that's when I saw the most growth, and also I was enjoying the whole process, so I stuck with FPL and focused on that niche. But yeah, I would consider it. I honestly would. I haven't gamed too much recently, but I generally do over the years, and yeah, I would really consider it. But yeah, for the time being, it's FPL and UCL Fantasy, also the odd World Cup Fantasy, Euro Fantasy Football, but I would consider it. As for shorts, yes, I would. It's another opportunity to grow as well. So yeah, the answer to both questions is yes, especially the gaming videos. Shivam says, hi Dylan, thanks for the stream. Got 44 with -4 and could get to 9 with a hit, including Diego Carlos. Thank you, Shivam. 44 is a great score. Yeah, getting to 9 with a hit, covering most of the key options, absolutely spot on. Diego Carlos, yeah, I'm not sure about him, but 8 players with a -4 hit, covering the best options, yeah, you're good. Yeah, just to park, yeah, maybe just refresh the page. That happens to me sometimes. YouTube, for some reason now, sometimes don't refresh the likes, without having to refresh the page. But I'm pretty sure we're on 80-ish right now. Zanya says, 2 players for Game Week 29, use free hit now or later. 2 players for 29, Maddison and Son would be my answer. I think they're the 2 best options. Then I'd go for Tony, Watkins, and Bowen. As for the free hit now or later, it's team dependent. If you've got less than 7 players and you don't cover most of the key options, and you need to take massive hits to get to a good number and cover those players I keep mentioning, I think you should free hit. But if you're in a good position where you have most of the key options already, I'd save it. I think the manager said Region should be ready for Burnley, so would be hopeful for a start. Okay, fair enough. I mean, Flecken and Region double up. What could possibly go wrong? Eddie says 40 points for Solanke captain and Doughty and Neto left. Got Nuri and Son points. Yeah, that should be a green arrow. Solanke captain, I think, will almost certainly push you to above 50 points. Hey Dylan, I got an idea for some of your vids. Could you add 5 differentials for the game week? Yeah, that's a good idea. I've sometimes I've been asked that during a stream, and I've been happy to oblige. So yeah, I think top 5 differentials could be one. There might be weeks where finding 5 differentials will be so difficult, then I'd just be forcing it. But you know, I would definitely be open to that. Differentials of the week is definitely a great idea. Certainly, at least having one pick would be very, very encouraging. Thank you, Fingon. Sean says wildcard 31 definitely has the more upside. Depends on if you have free at 34, I suppose. Free at 34 with Triple United, Newcastle for 1 week without having to buy them in wildcard 31. Yeah, will be key. That's absolutely spot on, Sean. And that's why I wanted to navigate 29 without the free hit, but my transfers have been very poor recently. Only OGs know about the gaming shorts on this channel. Yeah, I mean, check it out if you want to see a different side. FM or FIFA, Dylan? I've mainly played FIFA, so I'm not going to lie here and say FM is better because I haven't really played it, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure anything's better than FIFA, to be fair. Free hitting JWP or Areola from West Ham? If I had to pick, probably JWP, but would I go for Ward-Prowse over Bowen? I probably wouldn't. Even Kudus, I'd probably rank higher than him. Elanga, if he starts, not to mention Maddison, Son, Bailey. But yeah, out of those two, it's JWP. Top 3 of Arsenal midfielders, what do you think of Kai Havertz? He's in great form right now. It's difficult to ignore him, but I wouldn't buy him anytime soon because it's Man City away in Game Week 30. Maybe in Game Week 31 against Luton, he did very well in the reverse fixture. But in terms of Arsenal midfielders, it's still Saka first by a landslide, then it's Odegaard. I'd probably put Martinelli third when he's fit, and then Havertz fourth. But Havertz is the most in form at the moment. Thank you, Elliot. I'll see you very soon in the upcoming deadline stream. Joel Goddard says, is Foden to Maddison this week worth a -4 if it potentially prices me out of getting Foden back on a Game Week 30 wildcard? Now, that's a difficult question, but honestly, with the way I expect Maddison to do well in Game Week 29 and 30, I still think it's worth it. You could actually even keep Maddison on the wildcard in 30 and then sell him a few weeks afterwards. But honestly, I think the answer is yes. Anyone know why the Kudus assist has been taken away? The points were given initially. Yeah, I'm not sure why they did it, but FPL has a history of these sorts of scenarios. I got 5, says Denver, and not the obvious ones. Free hit chip active only on Wednesday. Fair enough. Fair enough. I refreshed. There are the likes there. Apologies. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know why YouTube have done that because I'm fairly sure before they did update. I do support Arsenal in the Premier League. They're my local team. I also support Argentina national team because of my family and Rosario Central, who won yesterday. But yeah, those are my teams. In Europe, it's just Arsenal. How am I red with Son? Well, if you took massive hits, that's probably a big reason why. Also, I'm guessing everyone else in your team flopped. That's probably the case. And also, a lot of people own Son. So it's nothing groundbreaking to own him, unfortunately. Sadly, the game is becoming more template-like. One of the main reasons I follow you is that you are different with calculated risks and you can resonate with your streams pretty well. I appreciate that, but I'm not going to lie. I sometimes feel I'm a bit too template myself. And one thing I've found this season is that literally I see an injury update, I check the news, or I look at, you know, some stats like a player's record against a certain club, maybe their fixtures, something like that, maybe their form. And I just think, you know what, I'm going to make this transfer. And I do the first thing that comes to my head. But guess what? It's kind of so much of a no-brainer transfer that so many people end up doing it anyway throughout the FPL community. So, yeah, it's difficult to be unique in FPL, but maybe I need to be actively trying to seek that kind of uniqueness, if you catch my drift. I think I need to be a bit different because at the rank I'm at, it's the worst rank I've been at, you know, for a long time. It would be my worst ever rank in FPL. Something needs to change and I need to get my act together. But I do appreciate that, and hopefully, yeah, I'll see you very soon in more streams as well. Hold Solanke until when? Game Week 32. Or 33. So Bournemouth's fixtures are good until Game Week 32. I'd probably sell Solanke in 33. Top differentials and why may encourage people to think outside template. That's true, and that's why I'm very open to doing it. One thing I found, though, is that sometimes, you know, people want to see the kind of typical videos, team selection, best wildcard videos, you know, kind of the usual stuff, deadline streams. But when something different is made, it might take a long while for people to warm up to it, but the numbers aren't really anywhere near as much. But I'd be very open to making a differential video, that's for sure. JC Snooks says, have 8 players to field. I should be saving the free hit for further down the line, really, shouldn't I? Yes. And once again, it's about the key players you're covering. So if you've got Son, Maddison, Tony, Watkins, and Bowen, you're absolutely well set. 37 points without Palmer, Solanke, Neto, and Doughty. Good. Wait, without Palmer, Solanke? I'm guessing you have those players left to go. Yeah, that's good. It should be a green arrow. Would you go Maddison over Bowen for the next 3? Yes, I would. No hits, but yeah, no one else returned. Do you care about effective ownership? Yeah, okay, fair enough. No hits, that's good. I wish I didn't take hits this week. If I didn't, I would have started a Stupinian this week. And yeah, I mean, I was going to bench Bodro. I can't really begrudge myself about that. But yeah, my defender transfers have been a disaster. Dylan the Gunner, as a United fan, you better win the league this season. If Liverpool win the league, they draw level on 20 tiles. If City win, it's a 4-peat. That's what I mentioned. I think the first question, or one of the first, was by Hope. And he asked, I wonder which club Man United fans actually want to win the league. And I said, Arsenal are probably the lesser evil for United fans because, yeah, as you mentioned, those records are there to be broken or equalled. And with Arsenal's case, it will be their 14th Premier League title. And they haven't won it for 20 years, and they haven't been that successful. The only kind of downside is that Arsenal fans will be unbearable, especially on Twitter. But apart from that, yeah, if I were a United fan, I would say the same thing. But I am biased, after all, when I say that. Best defenders for free hit 29. If Reguilon's fit, I'd put him in there. Doughty and Pedro Porro. And I think Porro's probably the best of a bad bunch. With the fixtures left, I see Liverpool winning through by at least 3+ points. Yeah, I think they have the best fixtures, but I'm not going to lie, I still think City are favourites. And once they clear Arsenal and Aston Villa, once those games are gone, I think City have a great run. I actually think City are the favourites. I'd put Liverpool second and then Arsenal third. Hopefully I'm wrong. With no free hit, should I sell Solanke for Tony to field 8 players and wildcard 31? Yeah, I would. Now, if you're asking me, like, for example, would I rather go for Maddison or Tony in 29? I'd rather go for Maddison, but that transfer does make sense. Yep, Yusuf, I just covered your question. Let me know what you think. I highlighted your message and I answered it. There were 3 names I gave. Another Yusuf, I think it is, says, would you take a -8 hit to bring in Maddison, Romero and Elanga? No. Romero is an absolute no. I know he did very well this week, but I think Fulham will score. And Maddison, absolutely, great transfer. Elanga could also possibly be worth it. He got 2 assists in the reverse fixture against Luton Town. But Romero, nah. The only defender I'd consider taking a hit for is Bodro because of his attacking potential, and he gets a lot of bonus points, as you saw today. But Romero, not for me. Honestly, no, not for me. I think a triple Spurs midfield free hit 29. Most won't even fill budget. Well, that depends on Richarlison being available. If he isn't, well, you're going to go for Johnson? I'm not really too keen. I know he's done okay recently, but I think Maddison and Son is enough. And it might not seem like it, but in the grand scheme of things, that duo will be a differential duo for you in terms of effective ownership and combination of players. Yeah, I agree in terms of, the defense isn't really worth investing in general for Game Week 29. Captain Son or Watkins, I'd go for Son. I also would consider Maddison over Watkins in 29. Luisa Guerrero says, would you take a -4 to bring back Salah in Game Week 30 for captain? Yes, I would, but what I want to ask is, who are you selling? I'm guessing Erling Haaland's involved, and that's where I'd be unsure. But in a lot of cases, I think taking a hit for Salah in 30 pays off. It really does. He's a great captaincy option in 30 and 31, arguably the best in both game weeks. So, yeah, the answer would be yes. JC Snook says, what am I planning? Free hitting, unfortunately. That is the plan. I've only got 4 players set to play. I had Tony, but I did sell him for Solanke. That's just not paid off. Every transfer I've made recently just hasn't paid off, really. There might be the odd exception here and there. I think Son's the only one, actually. That's actually done quite well. I hope Thomas is being frank about chances that Reguilon plays. I see what you did there. I see what you did. He does strike me as quite an honest manager. I don't think he's lying. Do you think Maddison has more upside than Tony? Yes, I think so. And look, maybe I'm, really focusing on Maddison's record against Fulham. Maybe I am, but he's never blanked at Craven Cottage. He scored against Fulham in the reverse fixture this season, and Tony has blanked 4 times in a row, but they're both great options for Game Week 29. Is there a need to do Saliba to the doggy? If it's for free, then yeah, that's fine. And also, Udogie has Luton Town at home in 30, while Saliba faces Man City away. Then you could wildcard Saliba back in or buy Gabriel in Game Week 31. But I wouldn't do it for a hit. If you do it for free, I'd say yes. Is your strategy going forward to load up on Spurs, Chelsea, and Liverpool for double Game Week 34, 37? I've still got the free hit and wildcard in my back pocket. My current plan is the free and 29. In Game Week 30, I could buy another Spurs midfielder like Maddison. But to be quite honest with you, as for loading up on Chelsea, not really. I'm quite happy with Palmer. Liverpool, yes, I will look to double, triple up on them. So Salah, Bradley, and then maybe someone else who pops up. I don't think I'll go for Darwin again. But I've got the wild card, I think, for that. So Liverpool players, the plan is to wildcard them in. With Spurs players, I have two already. It's just about adding that third one potentially, but it's not essential. Henning says, hey Dylan, I have 7 players and 1 free transfer. Take a -4 and get 9 players, or free hit 29. You don't need to take a hit to get to 9. 8 players is already enough, and if you're covering the best options, that's fine. I've already used wildcard. It's for free, and I have 2 free transfers in 30. Says Barmy. Yep, I'd do it. I really would, because over the next 2, it's a great transfer. You can always switch a doggy to an Arsenal defender in Game Week 31 or later in the season. Why focus on upside? No consideration of probability of achieving this upside. I'm not sure what you're referencing there, Jamie. Maybe my mind's going a bit blank there. Sorry, Dylan, going a bit out of context, but do you really think, apart from the big 3, Colombia could be dark horses in Copa America this year? I mean, look, Colombia are a difficult team to play against. They're quite physical. Whenever they play Argentina, for example, they make like 20, 30 fouls. It's a game without rhythm. Reminds me of like Arsenal versus Porto recently. They could be, but Colombia have only won 1 Copa America. That was back in 2001, where Argentina didn't even feature. I don't know. For me, Argentina and Brazil are the favourites. I'd say Uruguay are probably the dark horses. They've been quite good under Bielsa. I think the Copa America will go down to one of the big 3, pretty much, if I'm being honest. Louisa says, not Haaland, Salah for Odegaard and someone for Dalto Gross. Go for it, mate. Honestly, I've got no objections about that whatsoever. It certainly pays off. Best differential captain for 29, Maddison. JC Snook says, I have free hit bench boost on wildcard left. It's difficult for me to say, mate, because I don't know your team. Because, for example, it might be best for you to free hit now, but if you've already got a decent number of players, you cover the best options, I'd say maybe free hit in 34. For the bench boost, I think the best time to use it for a lot of people is Game Week 37. Wildcard, I'd say either Game Week 31 or 35. And free hit either 29 or 34, but I don't know your team. I have 7 good players in 29. Yeah, that's enough, I think. If you can get to 8 with a free transfer, even better. And by the way, when you say good players, I'm just wondering who. But if you're talking about Bowen, one of Bailey or Douglas Luiz, and of course Son, Maddison, Tony, Watkins, then yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. You don't need to free hit. Be sure to drop a like, by the way. Let's get the stream to 100. We have been streaming for over an hour now. How have we been streaming for an hour and a half? That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, time does fly when you're having fun, doesn't it? But yeah, why not Son? I never said don't go for Son. I mean, no. I mean, I was asked about the best differential captain. Son's not going to be a differential captain, mate. He really won't be. I think he'll be the template pick, actually. So Maddison will be the differential pick. Son's record against Fulham isn't particularly great, but he did get a big return in the reverse fixture this season. Just historically, I think Maddison has a better record, especially at Craven Cottage. He's never blanked there. Maddison might go up in price tonight, worth doing the early transfer. Only if you're going to be priced out. I'd rather wait for more information. I wouldn't be too bothered about these price changes, to be honest. B-Ball Checkmate says, actually, just because Tony has blanked so much in a row, I'd consider him a good option versus Burnley's mediocre defence. Yeah, I think he's due, so to speak. That's the kind of term we throw out there. I think Tony will return, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to free him back in, but he has been quite underwhelming. I've been surprised. I thought we'd do really well against West Ham and Chelsea. Didn't do it. Against Arsenal, I think he actually played better, but also quite ineffective. Thank you, Shivam. Take care as well, and I'll see you very soon. Domenico De Luca says, Hola, Dylan. Saludos, hermano. Triple Captain Solanke has been a heartbreak so far, but confident. Green arrow so far. Have 9 for 29. Already almost did Saka to Maddison free transfer for a -4. Solanke to Muniz or Tony. Thank you. Thank you, Domenico. Great stuff getting the green arrow. It should definitely be secured after you... Okay, what the hell? Sorry, I got to pause this because what the bloody hell is going on, mate? I don't know. We used to get a lot of weird messages back in the chat. But yeah, that's dealt with. So yeah, apologies if you have to see that. Trust me, it's not me on my burner account or anything like that. So yeah, Domenico, have 9 for 29. That's absolutely fine. Saka to Maddison, yeah, a great transfer for the next 2 game weeks. I'd wait though in terms of finalising it just in case. Maddison's also very injury prone. Solanke to Muniz or Tony, I'd go to Tony. Muniz is not a bad shout, by the way, against that Tottenham defence, but I think Tony is maybe even the best striker in Game Week 29, but I'd probably put Watkins just ahead of him. Out of Haaland, Son, Salah, which one would you go without for the rest of the season? I know it sounds ridiculous. He's on the thumbnail. He was incredible today, but I think Son. Because in terms of fixtures, Spurs have awful games from Game Week 34 until the end. Now, they will have a double, but so will Man City and Liverpool. Honestly, I think Son's the one to go without because you can compensate for Son and going without him with Saka, Salah, Gordon, Palmer, even Foden. So, yeah, with more alternatives in the midfield and also with Salah's fixtures and all of that taken into account, I'd say Son is the one to go without. But not now. Do not sell Son now. Obviously not. Game Week 30, probably the best captaincy option, if not second. But I think from Game Week 34 onwards, Son is very disposable. Eddie says, one defender worth taking a hit for to get 11 players for 29. I'd say Borro is the only one. If you've already got him, then it's slim pickings, but then it's Region or Doughty. But don't make transfers yet if you can. Free hit today. I mean, I could have activated it from yesterday, really, because it's... If we look at my team, I've got 4 players who feature, so it's dreadful. The free hit will pay off for me. It's just a question of those that save the free hit, that are well set up for Game Week 29, they'll probably do even better. But yeah, you're going to have like 10 million in the bank. You'll find that out when you build your team full of players who feature in Game Week 29. So there's no rush, but ultimately, yeah, the plan is to free hit. I might even play it after this stream is over, and I'll be making a dedicated best free hit team video for Blank Gameweek 29. That's definitely going to be the case. So yeah, we've been streaming for over an hour and a half. My brain's already going for some reason. Let's get the stream to 100 though. Let's be sure to do that. It'd be massively appreciated. We went through different screens as well. Draft Hound, talked about the most captain player, which is no surprise. The FDR, predicted points for Game Week 29. Also price changes, everything you need to know. And our initial reactions for Game Week 29. And talking about double Game Week 28 so far. All covered. If you've got any more questions, anything like that, be sure to drop them before we wrap this up. Luisa Guerrero says, if Mbumo is back and Region fit, I'll definitely captain Tony. The favoured player for each game week usually blanks. That is true. That is true. And also after Son getting 17 points and also delivering against Palace. Yeah, I do get what you're saying. It seems like the most captain player or the most popular transfer in just seems to be quite disappointing this season. And that's why I'm really favouring Maddison. I think he could do a great job, actually. So that's my top pick of the week. Differential captain, it'll be Maddison, but you might be right about Tony. He could be the one in the end. Predictions for Luton versus Bournemouth. 2-1 Bournemouth, and my hope is that Doughty gets an assist and that Morris doesn't score and that Solanke scores a brace and Zabani gets an assist, or he maybe scores one himself. That's a lot of wishful thinking. It's not going to happen. The hit is for Nuri. Is it worth it or just not transfer? I wouldn't do that. I don't think it's worth it. Now, yeah, Borro or Doggy, fine. They're the only ones I consider taking a hit for because they also face Luton Town at home in Game Week 30. But if I'm being completely honest, I think you're fine with what you have there, Eddie. I think you're well set up for Game Week 29. There's no need to take a -4 hit there. Thank you to those that tuned in today. Massively appreciate as always. Hopefully the remaining games in Game Week 28 go much better and we all get green arrows and enjoy FPL for once. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this stream to over 100 likes and let's keep on pushing towards 23k subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for all the latest FPL and UCL fantasy updates, and the same goes for World Cup fantasy and Euro Fantasy Football when the time comes. There's also the Discord server. There are hundreds of members there, and everything you need to know about FPL and UCL Fantasy is covered on those platforms. There's a great community there. There's also the channel memberships and Patreon. You can join one of the membership tiers, and you can become get early access to my videos, and also get priority reply to comments in live streams and videos, even when the streams are very busy. And you'll find that out for UCL Fantasy streams. That tends to be very chaotic, to say the least. There are many more perks as well, which are all listed on my YouTube channel and on Patreon. There's also a FPL league for you to join. There's an auto join link. You click it, you're automatically in. And there's also Draft Town, which I showed you earlier in the stream, and their predicted or their optimal free hit team for Game Week 29. It was quite good, similar to what I'm going to talk about in a few days' time, but there are some key differences, especially on the bench and in terms of the forward line and the midfield. But the defense, I have to say, it does speak for itself. Let's see if Region is available for Game Week 29. Thank you, JC Snooks. Absolutely love your content, Dylan. Thanks for all the hard work you put in, fellow Gooner. Thank you. Enjoy the current position and the title race, but there's a lot of twists and turns yet to go. What happened to Edison today? Well, he got injured, and Ake made the mistake with that short pass, put Edison in a pickle, but Edison was quite poor. He dealt with that poorly, and he got injured in that in that altercation with Darwin Nunez. So not sure how serious the injury is, but also quite concerning with the international break coming very soon. And Edison might even start some games there for Brazil. Thank you, JC Snooks. Goodbye to you and everyone else watching. I appreciate those that are still tuning in. Over 100 people still here. Twister Parky says, have these sad, got nothing better to do. Yeah, I'm guessing you're referencing that weird comment by the Milkman. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'll see you very soon. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of Double Gameweek 28 and for Blank Gameweek 29. Let's see how chip strategies determine the end of the season in FPL terms. Take care, enjoy the football, and I'll see you very soon.